Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today, guys, we're jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what I think is likely to happen next. As I get into today's video, if you do find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, why not go ahead and check it out? Link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. As you can see in the background, just over here, my lights have decided to fall off the ceiling, so they're going to be a little bit of a disco in the background for today, and I'll sort that out after I finish recording this video. So let's jump right down into the first chart, which will be the 1 hour time frame. So here we have Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the 1 hour Binance chart. We have obviously broken up higher than our recent swing highs. So we have two new higher highs and obviously the higher lows. This obviously has a tendency to want to break on down, but I don't think we're necessarily there just yet. So everything that I've been talking about here is obviously incorrect. It needs calibrating. I've missed something, so I'm going to go ahead and essentially remove all the analysis that we have here, and we're going to try and figure out where I went wrong and make it right. And this is the thing with Elliott-Wave theory. It's not that Elliott-Wave theory is incorrect, it's that I made a mistake as an analyst in predicting out where it is going. So our Z-wave is still in play by the looks of it. So we have a big three-wave pattern potentially here, meaning that we do actually have higher to go. And so we were looking at the move, the kind of fake news scenario up to 30K as the end of a structure, as the end of our Z-wave, right? But that appears not to be the case here. So instead, what we have is a three-wave pattern with the first wave, A wave, being the top of this one, okay? So if we now adjust this and we can see that we actually have a lot more potential to the upside than we maybe first thought. Current resistances are coming in here at the moment around kind of the 30,400, but we do see upper potential now, basically between 31,692 and 32,622. Okay, so a little bit higher here on a three-wave Z-wave pattern. Again, it might not be the case that that's entirely true, but I think for the most part, like our minimum expectations have been met, and this is kind of the upper expectations of where we think that Z-wave has the potential to kind of go. It is going higher and much steeper than you would actually normally anticipate a Z-wave to go, because a Z-wave would normally be falling between the 618 and the 1.236. If I go ahead and just show you what that would actually look like, we should have topped out exactly on the area here for the 1.236, which is where we were kind of predicting out before. But considering everything that's going on here, it simply is what it is. And we now have to look at this more as a three-wave pattern like that. And it does look like the Z-wave is either taken up. Now, the other thing with this to bear in mind is that we could be looking at this all from a different point of view as well, and it's not a Z-wave. And actually what we've got going on is a bigger three-wave pattern from our lows down here, which if I can snap it in right there at 24,901, if I go ahead and move this over to here, you can see that our Y expectations here actually fall in line more with a slight overextension on the 1.236 and the 1-to-1. So if I go ahead and draw that box right in there, I'll show you what that looks like as well, because that would be a three-wave pattern from here like so. Okay, so there's a few different ways here. You can see where I went wrong on this one, and you can kind of see how things are now looking. So for me, I would say that there is this upper limit of around 32,622, but if we hit that, it does create a scenario of a W, X, Y, X, and Z pattern to play out further upwards later. If we fail to kind of reach or breach that kind of area up here for the 31,488, then that is going to basically just be our C wave. So we'll look for reversals there. Okay, so interesting to kind of take a look at it from these kind of points of view. So I'll remove the fibs and I'll leave the yellow boxes. Those are the two expectations that we're going to have. I would say that I'd be on the conservative side. I would be looking on the lower side rather than the higher side. I wouldn't want to be thinking that we had the higher potential and kind of get stuck in a long position and then obviously get wrecked on the way down. Now you can see here we have a potential three-wave pattern to the downside where we look for support on the 50 EMA and the 50 SMA. So this this, if we bring this in, comes on towards these areas. You can see right in here. If I go and throw a little yellow box right there so you can kind of visually see it, it sits right in between those. And so this three-wave pattern to the downside would essentially look for support on those 50 EMA or 50 SMA, and then a continuation of this move to the upside. So when we take a look at this internal workings, it's still very interesting to me. This could be a WXYXZ right into the end where we get into this higher expectation right here, which is basically 30,478 to 31,488. So that's going to be the area that I'm looking for. I'm looking for find support here on one of these EMAs or SMAs, and then move up a little ways. It won't be massive movement, maybe 4 to 5%. And obviously it is a weekly close today, so we'll be taking a look at that as well. So let's take this out into the daily. Our daily chart is still obviously looking for $22,000 to $23,000. The only way that that is broken is if we rally up higher than 31,804.20, which is this white line just up here. Okay, which will break our swing high. And then, of course, we can break out of this structure. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's completely invalidated, because we do run the possibility of seeing an irregular flat correction to get us down into this range. This range is of immense interest because it is being targeted from many different analytical points of view. It is not just Elliott wave theory saying here. There are many different ways of approaching the market and price analysis, and a lot of these are indicating $22,000 to $23,000. So this area is of immense interest, not just from an Elliott wave theory point of view, but from just a price analysis point of view. So whether we kind of breached 31,800 doesn't necessarily rule this out. It would just mean that there's potentially a different path in getting to that particular range. This is where I think we're going to find immense amount of value in altcoins. So when Bitcoin moves down here, this is where altcoins really have to be kind of, considered for the portfolio at a pretty decent level. Now, obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot give financial advice. All I can do is tell you my thoughts and opinions on the data in the charts as I personally see it. And ultimately, I'm looking at Bitcoin's next retracement to the downside as one of the last opportunities to really build decent positions in altcoins. Okay, so it's one of those, right? Obviously, if you have access to a financial advisor, you should probably consult them and see what they think. And obviously, they know your financial situations, whereas I do not. If I do not know your financial situations, I cannot be a financial advisor, and therefore I am not a financial advisor. All I'm telling you here is my thoughts and opinions on the data in the charts as I personally see it. It's just my opinion, and you can do with that as you see fit. So essentially, my expectation is a move to the downside on the daily and weekly timeframes. Taking it out into the weekly, you can see here that we have had a bit of a move upwards after closing above that 50 EMA. That's the red line. We can see a golden cross on the horizon here, but I'm not too convinced about this one. And the reason I'm not convinced about this golden cross, which is the yellow line crossing the white line, the 50 SMA crossing the 200 EMA on the weekly timeframe, is that our momentum isn't really going to be supportive of that move. We'd have to see a move down before we actually have a rally upwards. And again, that then lines up with our expectations on that daily time frame of approximately the $22,000 to $23,000 level, which, if you can see here, would coincide very nicely as a previous area of support. Okay, so we'll look for this potential breakdown, and it might be a bit of a, as I say, a Bart-Simpson pattern, as in we had the head, we have this kind of move coming off, and then we come back down right into this low level here. This is potentially going to be an interesting one because this, as I said earlier, would put us into a area of oversold on our weekly time frame, our daily time frame, pretty much most other time frames, and look for a really good run to the upside. This is where I think we have the potential. Okay, but again, I could be wrong. It's just my opinions on the data in the charts. Now, in terms of the weekly close position, what are the bulls and the bears fighting over today? Well, the bulls themselves are going to be looking to try to get a closure, a weekly closure above $30,000. That's going to be the obvious target for those guys. They're going to want to see that weekly close above that key level. And in fact, if we do actually run in here and start thinking about where the actual levels are, I would say it's a close above 30,616 for the bulls to be really kind of accurate on that. The bears, on the other hand, are going to try to tank the price. They're going to want to try to get the price below that 50 EMA again, which would put us at about $27,017. Okay, now, do I think that's likely to happen? No, not today. So unless something big happens in the space, I'm not expecting such a big volatile movement with BTC. Instead, I would look at this as the potential for the bulls to continue to hold hold Bitcoin and take it further into next week. Whereas I think the bears are going to just kind of be waiting in the background a little bit longer before they get their shot in the dark. So for the most part, I think it's going to be a reasonably bullish close for Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. And we'll see how that kind of takes us into next week and what that might mean. But ultimately, I think that's where we are with Bitcoin at the moment. If you have found the video useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, what are you waiting for? Check it out. Link is in the description down below. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.